Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson, co-host Aurelio Martinez. In our second segment here, we're going to talk about this past weekend where we had the International Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, where we had inductees that all are familiar with, except one, Aurelio. We're going to talk about him, give him a couple of good props in the conversation. But to start right off, Canastota, New York, where we have it every year, the IBHOF Hall of Fame induction. This year's inductees were Evander, the real deal Holyfield, Steve Farhood and Barry Tompkins, analysts, television analysts. I'm sure you've all seen them. Johnny La Vida Loca Tapia.
Nice.
Okay. Eddie Booker. We'll talk about Eddie Booker. Name not familiar to most. Okay.
It should be.
Marco Antonio Barrera. One of your favorites.
You better believe it.
That's right. Trainer Johnny Lewis, Judge Jerry Roth, and the announcer Jimmy Lennon Sr. Okay.
Yep.
But really, all those names are very worthy and names that we've talked about before as possible candidates. It's really good to see them in. But this Eddie Booker. Eddie Booker was a name I was not familiar with. I had to actually do some research on him. Eddie Booker, let me tell you, his record as a professional was 66-5-8 with 32 KOs. They say that in California that he won numerous amateur titles, numerous professional titles. But Aurelio, his claim to fame and what gets him in the Hall of Fame, Eddie Booker fought Archie the Mongoose Moore 3 times. And you know, Archie Moore is considered by most to be
absolutely
the pound per pound, if not the of all time, but
absolutely
the top 2 pound per pound light heavyweight champion of the world. He was, I think it was like 8 years that he was light heavyweight champion. But Eddie Booker fought the Mongoose 3 times. He had 2 draws, and he was the first man to ever stop Archie Moore. That's Hall of Fame worthy. And you know what? I was really glad to see a guy that I said, who's Eddie Booker? I had no idea he was. But this is what makes Hall of Fame worthy, because
it does.
To be a Hall of Fame, you don't have to be a 6-time world champion. What it should be for Hall of Fame, we've talked about this before, what have you done to enhance the sport? Okay? And this is a guy who obviously enhanced the sport because of what he did. Archie Moore, like I said, most people remember him as a heavyweight, moving up and fighting, heavyweights, but Archie Moore was a hell of a light heavyweight champion.
I'm telling you, man, he was one of the best out there. I mean, and the list you just mentioned, all worthy people, down to the announcers and even the commentators. Steve Farhood, I mean, excellent commentating, speaks his mind. Just that's what you want. You want people like this that have made a contribution to the sport, and that makes him worthy of being in this Hall of Fame.
And just one more thing about Archie Moore, that he trained after he retired from boxing. He actually trained Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, and one of our favorites, James Quick Tillis.
Jimmy Quick. All right.
That's right. Yeah, and I know that we're gonna have to get James Tillis on the show sometime.
We'll have to call him, him call in,
because he's one of our favorites, and like I said, for just so you get a background of that. But Radio, let's take a second because we've got the time. Let's talk about. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna throw the names and you go for it. Let's talk about Evander Holyfield.
Well, Evander Holyfield, absolutely worthy. I mean, he lived up to his moniker in boxing as the real deal, because he actually was the real deal.
Yes.
I mean, he fought Mike Tyson a couple of times.
Yeah.
And no one else would. Yeah. And no one else could stand up to Mike Tyson. And this guy stood in there and actually took Mike Tyson's game away. Frustrated him. The ear incident. I mean, so when it comes to a boxer in the ring that's talented and skilled in all areas, defensively, offensively, ring generalship, Evander Holyfield comes to mind. So yes, I 100% a go on that one.
And to go back further, remember he was an Olympic gold medalist.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's right there. He's right there, and well deserved. Okay, Steve Farhood and Barry Tompkins. Most people are familiar with them. They do a lot of analyzing on Fox, and you'll see them on some of the shows. But these guys got 35, 40 years in the boxing game.
They do.
And it's good to see them.
Again, Well, I talked about Steve Farhood a little bit before, and I like Steve Farhood. I like the way he does his commentating. He's real in what he says. He doesn't put frosting on the cake toward the promoters, fighters, or anything like that. He basically calls it like it is. He does his scoring round by round when they talk to him, and he explains how and why. And you very seldom will see him contradict himself like some of the other guys that they put on, where they'll say, well, this guy's ahead because of his ring generalship. Then in another fight, they do the opposite. So anyway, good commentating, and that's what you want in boxing, because how many times have you said, I got to watch this fight and turn the volume down?
Oh, I do it all the time.
You just have to do it all the time. Steve Farhood's one of the guys where you can leave the volume up.
Good one. Good assessment there. Now, our New Mexican friend, Johnny La Vida Loca Tapia.
Absolutely worthy. I mean, when it comes to a boxer like Johnny Tapia, exciting, the no pain no gain type thing, and then if anyone that knows the story, what he was shuffling when he was dealing with the demons in his life,
personal life
outside of boxing, you've got to hand it to this man. This man was the best at what he did at in the ring, and he really had a tough life to deal with from an early age. Of course, with his parents, his mom being murdered and all.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes, in my opinion, Johnny Tapia is the epitome of the grassroots boxer.
Yep.
Tough life, tough struggle, boxing a way to get him out of that, but he still could not overcome those demons. But talk about bringing something to the game.
Oh man!
I mean, really brought something to the game.
Exciting.
Okay, next up, trainer Johnny Lewis. I'm not really familiar with Johnny Lewis as a trainer, but he's in the Hall of Fame, so he's got the credentials.
There's not a lot known about Johnny Lewis, but I'll tell you what makes a trainer is not so much a trainer that wants to put himself up there. Johnny Lewis was the type of guy where he focused on training his fighters, and what he did was for the fighters to come out and win the fight. He wasn't so much like today's trainers where they have to be in the forefront. You talk about Freddie Roach. It's all about Freddie Roach. And that's not the way it should be. Now Roberto Garcia, it's starting to be the same way. It's all about Roberto Garcia instead of the fighters. So what do you do when you become a publicity a trainer named by publicity, and then all the name fighters come flocking to you? Okay, my key is a good trainer is a trainer that brings someone from the bottom up. Okay,
that's right.
That's how you know that. So absolutely, this guy has them credentials, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, Judge Jerry Roth from Las Vegas. I know you guys are all familiar with that name. Almost every big fight in Las Vegas, Jerry Roth is there.
Jerry Roth, judging has always been a controversy. So I really can't comment because I don't know. I don't know his track record. I do know that you see him on just about every championship fight. He probably has more championship fights than most officials.
Yeah.
So, but I really don't know enough to commentate one way or the other, Steve.
Okay. Announcer Jimmy Lennon Sr. You guys are familiar with his son, Jimmy Lennon Jr. But Jimmy Lennon Sr. goes back in our days when we used to see him in Madison Square Garden. He did all of the big fights. His voice was one of those voices that was similar to, what's our guy that says, let's get ready to rumble? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But
Buffer.
Buffer. But every fight when you would hear that Jimmy Lennon Sr. voice, you knew it was him. A great announcer. There's something that announcers, bring to. They bring some excitement to it also. They can get a crowd fired up. And that's what Jimmy Lennon Sr. did.
I like Jimmy Lennon Sr. because he was one of the for real ring announcers. What he brought into the middle of the ring was himself. And he that's our 10 second, but we'll keep going. He brought to the ring was himself, and the announcing was all natural. Okay, he didn't. And I'm not taking anything away from a Buffer, because Buffer is very good at what he does, but Buffer was more of a model, more of an actor model type thing. Fix the face up.
Well, the women like to see him.
Yeah, patting my name, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Two different announcers, both high up on the schedule where you can't beat it, because some of these new announcers coming up are just phony as heck. So these guys were nothing phony. It was all natural. So yes, that works.
There we have it. I hope you guys found it as interesting as we did. The International Boxing Hall of Fame. That went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, culminates Sunday with the parade, and then the induction ceremony itself. So congratulations to all those guys, and we'll look forward to next year to see who the inductees are.
That's right.
All right, radio. We're getting ready for the third segment, which we're going to dedicate to coming up this next weekend, which is going to be Andre Ward, Son of God, taking on Sergey Kovalov, the Crusher.
Well, you got to come back.
In a rematch.
You got to come back and watch that segment. It follows this segment, and I'm going to tell you what, you're going to be surprised.
We're going to get right at it. All right?
All right?
So, all right, radio. As we end up this segment, as we do every segment inside Boxing Throwdown, keep them hands up, baby.